Well, good morning, Nigeria, and welcome to a Sunday edition here for Breakfast Extra. Happy Sunday to you. I hope you're gearing up for Dirty December, and of course all the concerts, the homecomings, the traffic is going to be a part of it as well, and of course the vibes, because Lagos is already stretching like an athlete before a marathon. But while we're warming up for employment or enjoyment and everything that goes with it, Nigeria's reality this week, well, it's been anything but enjoyable. Let's face it. Once again, insecurity took center stage. Uninvited, of course, unwelcome, but somehow always showing up, like that cousin you don't want coming over for Christmas. From the Kebbi school abduction to the Eruku kidnapping in Kwara, it feels like every region is facing the same demon wearing different disguises. And the North, well, the North is battling insurgents. The Northwest is dealing with bandits. The Middle Belt is facing communal clashes. The Southeast is wrestling with violence. The Southwest is struggling with kidnappers on highways. Different zones, same fear, same exhaustion. And in the middle of all this, the political class is still playing musical chairs, jumping from one story, or rather one party, to the other. Another week, another wave of PDP members defecting to the APC. Like students changing departments in the night before graduation. Not because of vision, it's just because of ideology or, well, survival. But because 2027 as well is quietly calling everybody's name. And while they're switching parties, Nigerians are switching survival strategies. Because on top of insecurity, we now have the police pension scandal, where officers who spent their lives protecting the nation are fighting for pensions they already earned. How do you motivate a force when the people in uniform aren't even sure their retirement will be respected? It's a sad life to live. And meanwhile, the world is moving at lightning speed. We're just left behind. Globally, AI is reshaping industries. It's taking some jobs, it's creating new ones, it's adding value, and it's completely reinventing the future of work. But Nigeria, we're still governing like we're in the black and white television, if you remember what that era was like. Policies drag along like road repairs on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, forever under construction, manual files everywhere. Systems are crashing, it seems to be slowing down everything. It's like they're allergic to efficiency. And we're still debating basic digital reforms when other nations are discussing AI ethics, robot taxation, and even smart cities. We say we want to reduce unemployment, yet we're not training people for the jobs that exist today. We say we want investment, yet our processes still behave like we're doing long division on a chalkboard, not even a calculator. Well, here's the good news, however. There is hope at the end of the tunnel, because, you know, I always leave space for hope. So let's kind of like shoehorn that one in. Nigerians themselves are evolving. Young people are learning AI, they're coding, and of course they're using digital tools. Tech hubs are springing up. If you look for them, you will find them. And startups are building solutions. The government hasn't even imagined yet how to do that, but they're doing it. So we are moving, even if the system is crawling. And maybe, just maybe, this pressure, this season, this December energy, combined with global focus, will force us to modernize, maybe fix security, maybe fix governance, fix digital systems at least. Let's fix pensions for police. Let's fix the future. Because for Africa to shine globally, Nigeria must stand strong locally. After all, we are the giant of Africa. So as you step into the new week, just stay informed, stay alert, and stay hopeful. Our challenges, well, they're loud. Nigerians, we've always been louder. Check us out in any international flight. The loudest person is always a Nigerian. This is Breakfast Extra, and remember, better days won't fall from the sky. You have to build them yourself. And that's what we're doing at the start of the week here. Welcome. My name is Mazino, and of course, Queen Celestine is also joining us. Queen, how are you for a Sunday morning?
I'm fine, thank you for the monologue. Emergencies.
I know, it seems like there's so much happening in Nigeria, but at least one thing that every Nigerian has is always hope. So I think...
Let's be hopeful.
Let's be hopeful.
But also fight for it.
It's not enough,
I agree.
It's not enough. We can't keep being hopeful while the system continues to degrade. maybe we should talk about that when I join you. Let's say welcome again, Breakfast Extra here for a Sunday edition. Let's talk.
Go.
Well, welcome again.
Good morning. And of course, welcome
Oh,
to
my
Breakfast
apologies.
Extra. It's okay, Mazino. How are you?
I am good. I love what you're looking like today.
Thank you.
There is a certain character in the Star Wars canon. She's called
You're
Ahsoka.
back at it.
And that's exactly what she looks like, isn't it? Ahsoka. You're welcome at Breakfast Extra. It's our honor.
Thank you.
So
Thank you
today
so
we'll
much.
be talking about so many things.
So
wouldn't we?
many things.
Let's find out what then.
Well, first off, it's going to be a full show today with major developments across security, justice, technology, and the African continent. Of course, from the unresolved questions surrounding the shocking school abduction in Kebbi to a deep dive into the future of work as artificial intelligence reshapes the global workforce. And we also bring you an exclusive investigative report by our correspondent Onoye Marshall, as always, as News Central partners with the Nigerian police force to rescue 5 abducted children in Anambra State. And in the wake of rising insecurity nationwide, Bernard Akede takes us inside the untold story of the Eruku abduction, a community still reeling from trauma. And on Focus Africa, we turn to South Africa, where dramatic new twists emerge in the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial as police arrest 3 men in court for conspiracy. All this and more ahead, but first, let's take
The dailies,
the
shall we?
dailies.
Yes, indeed. Well, what will we find that is new for today, I wonder, because every single week or every single
I don't
day...
think anything is new. I think it's just a
nothing seems to be-
recycled
well, it always
issues.
has a different nuance to it, but it's basically insecurity. It's parties playing musical chairs and what else. But let's not
I like
preempt.
that vibe.
Let's find out. Let's do the dailies. Let's start with our break in the middle, and we'll be back to give you each daily's front page. And you're welcome. Let's begin with the Daily Independence this morning. The front page for the Daily Independence has this big headline here: Gold for guns inside Nigeria's deadly miners bandits alliance. Now I see that we're beginning to actually put these two together, the mining and also the violence in Nigeria. I think it's been a long time coming. We should have associated this since from before.
Yeah.
The illegal mining, let me be specific, not just mining generally, but the illegal mining seems to be a very big factor when it comes to the violence in the north. So that actually is a progress. At the very top for the Sunday Independence, PDP vows to take legal action against defected Rivers Assembly members as former spokesman Olugboni Dian dumps party. Oh, we lost another one. And school closure controversy exposes gaps in FCT education administration. A picture of my uncle there, the FCT minister, Nyesom Wike. Good man. And Arawa youths call for forensics investigation of FIRS, wants Zach Adedeji to step aside for probe. That you'll find on page 31, and Oshun gubernatorials. Omishere accuses Oyetola of influencing his disqualification on page 2. If you want the drama, take the Sunday Independence, find out all about that story there on page 2.
Well, let's move on to Sunday Punch. Of course, right at the center says Security Emergency Army freezes retirement of officers. I don't know how they freeze retirement, just pause. The year's not moving. Huh? And right above, you say ADC to OB, make up your mind now on page 3. Besides, it's 5 ambassador nominees haunted by controversies on page 8. And down beside it, you say scrapping mother tongue policy won't kill local languages. Education Minister allows on page 9. Low offers halt sale of presidential jet on page 5. Billionaire businessman Adedoyin celebrates 90th birthday in style. Page
90
36.
years.
Yay!
That's a big one.
At least his
Congratulations
years
to
were
him.
not paused.
I see what you did.
Awujale family orders Kwamwon to prove lineage and warns against strangers on page 26. And Deadly Pete, sad tales of workers dying in illegal minds. You find that on page 44 and 45. And lastly, women reject life-saving blood transfusion despite 30 million naira donation on page 41.
How they rejected it? That's strange.
There has to be a story behind it to reject it.
Oh, I hope it's not what I think. Let's move on now to the nation, shall we, for a Sunday here. Front and center, main headline, insecurity. It's always insecurity. APC governors back Tinubu to strengthen community-based initiatives. Forum implores leaders to shun divisive rhetoric. Troops rescue 14 kidnapped victims in Enugu forest. Our strips are coming up somewhere in the middle of the show today, and much of it is about the insecurity instance in Nigeria. It seems to take center stage throughout the entire week for last week. So I'm really excited to talk about that one when we get to the strips. Right under that, pilots survive as NAF, Nigerian Air Force, Alpha jet crashes in Niger State. I saw the pictures. It was a big flame. And Fubara, I returned as governor because of Tinubu's special favor. Now, I want to talk about this. Many months ago, no, not so many months ago, about 3 months or so, when we had the talk between Fubara and Nyesom Wike, with the president actually mediating, I said this. I said we're going to have these kinds of comments come forth.
Right.
And here we are down the line, and here it is. Watch what might happen in the next few weeks when it comes to, you just watch the Fubara instance from today onward. And I suspect that we should be ready to be surprised. But take whatever you see, because I said this was coming 3 months ago. I said
we've talked about it, that the situation already from the beginning just had some heating things here and there that wasn't clear. And
these are speculations anyway.
Well,
so we're not saying definitely or absolutely. These are speculations, and I'm interested. I'm very invested, quite frankly. At the bottom of that one for the nation still, IBB, Akinrinade, to leaders, emulate Hassan Katsina's leadership, they say. PDP at the top of the page, PDP crisis, Saraki Lamido Wike loyalists plots takeover, or rather caretaker committee to prioritize reconciliation, preparation for 2027, and legal invalidation of the Ibadan Convention expected. We should have asked Mr. Pears from yesterday regarding this when it comes to a potential invalidation of the entire convention from this month. And IGP empanels special task force to enforce ban on VIP escorts. Join the strips. We also have something to talk about this when we come to the strips.
well, let's move on to this day, shall we?
Let's.
Right at the top, OPEC oil output slips in November amid Nigeria's production deadline. That's at $63.75 per barrel. Brent crude climbs to 2 weeks high. And of course, it says Osun 2026 cracks in APC as Omisore orders fault disqualifications and blames Oyetola and describes screening as a huge joke. And of course, it says APC governors back Tinubu declare full confidence in president's security drive. Pledge complementary measures, employ leaders to shun divisive rhetoric. And rising number of APC governors show Nigerians trust, says Sonwo-Olu. And below, he said, amid rising insecurity, Babangida calls for nothing reawakening. I think that's about it for all the dailies this morning.
Well, that's grand.
Oh, yeah. And
The Tribune.
oh, we should go to the next newspaper and let's do
Next
the
daily.
Sunday Tribune. Of course, it says disquiet over Tinubu's ambassador list. You find that on page 7. That senator says it violates principle of federal character. Beside it, tax reforms don't listen to detractors groups, tell FIRS chairman on page 10. And right in the center, disqualification of aspirants tears APC apart on page 6. Panels report joke of the year, it won't stand, Omisore and others. Screening committee members divided over decision. And screening panel chairman told us he received a call that he must disqualify all of us. And below, Africa faces outbreak of cholera, Mpox, Marburg, and CDC alert on page 26. And finally, APC governors reaffirm support for Tinubu, says federal government's reform must improve lives, protect dignity on page 7. Interesting. Well, guess what? We're moving on to my favorite, my absolute, I'm being adored this moment, my absolute favorite segment, and that's the streets. So let's move over to the streets, shall we?
So you're welcome. It's time again for the strips. Every single week we bring you the editorial cartoons that we found across newspapers. So it's only good and fair that it follows the dailies. Queen, it's your favorite part of the show, so maybe you should be standing here.
No.
Let's switch. Let's.
No. You stand. I comment from
in any
here.
case, I enjoy it as well, so hey. Now, we've got very interesting strips today, but most of them are focused on insecurity, the ambassadorial list, because that seemed to take everybody's attention all through the week last week. And some of them are very implicative, let me put it so. Some of them are so, I mean, the word is not graphic, they're just true. But we will not be specifically noting who the individuals might be. We might say, okay, maybe it's so and so. But let's have our very first strip for a Sunday morning here. Now, let's take a look at this. This is from Federation. Federation is an independent editorial cartoonist. And here you see same old script, news. Tinubu transmits list of ambassadorial nominees to Senate. And now it's the depiction for me. You can see Tinubu with his clapperboard. Diplomatic psychophancy, take 32, scene 2. And of course, we all know the date, clap. And what do we have? A dais of very interesting characters, of which you can see a couple that might be familiar. It might be that we're seeing a Reno mockery caricature here and also a Mahmoud caricature here. I can't tell who the third person is, but those two names were the names that actually were touted last week as suspicious. Not suspicious, but, you know, like, yeah, let's use the word suspicious. I don't know if you have any take on this, because the next one is still about the ambassadorial list, but let me have your take on this. The clowns that were depicted here by Federation. What do you think?
You know, when you see clowns, then you think of a circus. So my question is it that the government is just making us feel like we're in a circus, so we can as well just wear the clown outfit and just move along?
Many will agree with that submission, that politics now, or whatever it is that has to do with what's going on inside of the presidency, is a circus. It's the same old script.
Yep, recycling.
And it's just simply replaying itself. Let's see this, another rendition or iteration of this from another paper, another cartoonist. I hope it's the one I think that's coming. Let's get another one, guys. Let's see the next one for our next editorial cartoon here for the strips. Now, ambassadorial nominee list while the country is burning down. This is from Business Day, and Mr. Kwara doing his thing against a very simple depiction of the situation in Nigeria. It's the ambassadorial list, like I said, and of course the security instances across, especially the north. Now, one particular nominee, I don't want to give that one out yet because I have a cartoon that one's tied to. Let's move on to the next one real quick. Now, who might this be? Without being specific, if you can tell the goatee there, it might seem to be a certain character we all have come to know as a very big defender of the APC government, Reno Omokri. But in this cartoon, it seems I am not defending policies, I am defending my place. He's holding two swords, one says ambition, the other one says desire, and right before him is a pot of or plate. It's a meal, let's just put it so. Many say that the list are full or is full of people who might not have the same ideology as the presidency, and that their fight is not an ideological one, but instead it's a selfish one. And in this depiction, you can exactly see what they want. Yes, I'm talking about I want the government or policies here and there, this and that. It seems I'm defending these policies, but at the end of the day, it comes down to survival for most of the people who have been nominated or whose antecedents have led them to this list. Do you have any take here, Celestine?
All I can say is, what would Jesus do?
Let's move on. Let's move on to the next one. And let's prepare the others real quick. But let's take our next editorial cartoon here. I'm going to be very quick with this one. Of course, we know what's happening between the former defense minister and the Nigerian situation when it comes to banditry. But this is going to be modified when we check out the next strip, which has a very interesting take on banditry and what's happening in Nigeria, especially when it comes to the defense ministry.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at that dance from this, by the way, this is from the business tape, but there's another cartoon I want us to take on this instance. Can we, Collins, can we get that one real quick? That's the one I would really like to expand on. Let's see that one. Oh, no. It's not this one. Now, this one. Here we go. Thank you very much. A very interesting cartoon here. It's very implicative, and I'd like to take time and talk about this. Oga Minister, please dance defensively. Let them think we are fighting. Here you see at the bottom there a coiled up rope. You see a caricature of who might be the former Minister of Defense and a bandit. They're waltzing, and you can see papers flying all about the place. I'm going to try my best to explain every single item here. Nigeria is working on a tightrope. Nigeria has been, it would seem, dancing a very interesting dance. It might not be that Nigeria and the bandits, or the authorities and the bandits, are in cohorts. But the point is, if you dance long enough, your enemies will learn your dance steps. And that's what's been happening. You've got files, papers, security reports, communiques, empty promises, your handbook, what do we do next? And nothing has happened since. Only last week, the former defense minister retired on health grounds, and we've had a replacement. Former CDS, Christopher Musa, is now taking his place. And we are left to see what the optics are generating. It seems that it's an admission of failure. That's what it seems like. Because from everything that's happened so far, saying, we're done, might not really seem strategic at this point. With the world watching Nigeria, everybody thinking, okay, let's step in, or especially America, let's step in and do something in Nigeria. It puts us on a tightrope. And that's what we see here. Out with the old, in with the new. And I'll tell you something about the new. It seems to bring plenty of hope. Let's go to Abulama's cartoon here from Daily Trust, and you'll see why. Two bandits sitting down in the forest, one having a dream and the other one asking exactly why, what's up with your dream? Why are you dreaming? Can we go to the Daily Trust one with Abulama, the two bandits, please? And we'll take a look and compare it to this. No, not this one. If you don't mind, apologies there. Good. It's nighttime, the terrorist den. Why are you screaming in your dreams? I saw that Christopher chasing us again. For me, this is the only strip today that actually gives hope. Why do I say that? A lot of people seem to have plenty of faith in the former CDS, Christopher Musa. We're wondering exactly what's going to happen. We're not just wondering, we're also praying that it's going to be better from what we saw from before. And I wish that we could take a little vox pop and ask people what they think or what they expect from the new defense minister. What is he going to do? How is he going to carry on from his military past into this instance here as a minister for defense? Are things going to change? We've already seen 19 northern governors come together and say they actually want to participate in the defense of the north. How's that going to play into the scheme of things? With the very different and detailed challenges that each of these 19 northern states have, who's going to bring them all together and coordinate a very strategic defense for the Nigerian instance of insecurity? We're all hoping that the new defense minister will be able to do that. Queen, do you have any hopes that you want to share?
You've literally said it all. I'm talking about the dance and, of course, seeing the bandits in the bush and everything. It's like we are just recycling the same thing, the same way you've been ruling people from the 1960s, the same issues. Some of the issues we even have now, we did not have then. So most times when they say we have a committee, we're sitting down to have these conversations, we have dinners, we have meetings, we have panels. It feels like you're not saying anything, because if the bandits are telling you, dance or that, maybe like say, then it just feels like they know what you're going to do next, and then they're ready for you. Because look at the attacks and everything. It doesn't make sense. Like, when do we wake up and say, you know what, we need to fix this, and we need to fix it now?
But you know how the two instances tie in, the ambassadorial list and the situation with insecurity? Now, this is exactly it. It's a question of square pegs in round holes. If you put people who really have no idea what they're supposed to be doing in certain quarters, what do you expect? Nothing's going to happen. And that's why hope seems to be on everybody's lips now when it comes to the new the past CDS being the new defense minister. We're hoping that this man knows what to do. We're hoping that this man's going to create the change. So, fingers crossed, let's watch. Yes, indeed. That's it for the strips this morning. The producers are kicking us out, and they're telling us that we have to get on with our next segment. And I think we have a very interesting big report coming.
We do.
So stay tuned.
And welcome back. This is Breakfast Extra. Our first story this morning takes us to Kebbi State, where another community has been thrown into fear and uncertainty following the abduction of students from the government girls' secondary school in Maga. 26 schoolgirls were taken in this latest attack, and beyond the trauma their families now face, this incident has raised disturbing questions. One of them: why were the soldiers assigned to protect the school suddenly withdrawn shortly before the attack?
In this exclusive investigation, News Central's Jamil Bai speaks with affected families and the students who narrowly escaped. He pieces together the timeline and exposes the unanswered questions surrounding the night armed bandits struck. It's a deeply troubling look into a pattern of insecurity that continues to plague the Northwest. Here now is our special report by Jamil Mabai.
Kawo ne wanga makaranta ne yaranmu ne an ka ce an dauke su ranar Lahadi da daddare.
This is Umaru Elmu. His daughter is one of the 26 girls taken from the hostels at the Government Girls Comprehensive Secondary School in Maga, Kebbi State. According to multiple accounts from the community and school's officials, soldiers stationed at the school for its protection left. They withdrew from their post. Minutes later, the bandits arrived.
Da aka ji raɗe-raɗi mai girma gwamna ya yi duka abin da ya kamata a yi, domin ya tabbatar da sai da ya tura sojoji da 'yan sanda da 'yan banga a tsare makarantar. Abin da ya faru har ya sa wannan ta kasance da muke gani shine lapses da aka samu shine tuwas kahin abin ya faru. Sojoji wani dalili ya sa sun ba makarantar kahin su dawo mutanen nan suka shiga.
The first line of defense was Hassan, the school's head of security and a teacher. He was executed in his own home, in front of his wife, Amina. She describes his final moments, a plea for prayer before the shot.
Kuma da suka shigo sai da suka tambaye shi, kai ne mala ka yace ni ne mala to mun zo ne mu kashe ka sai to ku bari in sauko bisa gado sai ya sauko ya tashi sai halbe shi ko da na duba ya faɗi jini na ta zuba.
His son, Bashir, his voice shattering with grief, described the pain of losing a father.
Wannan harin ya shahi mu sosai ainun wanda sanadiyar shi na rasa mahaifina. Wanda shi kadai ne ya rage mana a matsayin mahaifi. To shi ɗaya ya rage mana wanda ya ka kiran mu ya ce mana mai kaza mu fa kaza mai kaza mu ba kaza, wanda ko shi ɗaya ina ganin kamar memory ne wanda mutum zai tuna yau an waye gari ba wanda zai kira ka.
With the security overrun, the bandits moved to the hostels. Safia Janaidu, an SS2 student who dreams of being a doctor, hid in a store. She escaped, but her sister and the relatives were not so lucky.
Rike mun hannuwa sun kai mun ka ci mu wuce mun hito rum muna ganin kamar ba su gani ba sai mun ka shige rum tuli mun ka ɓoye ciki na rawa ya fara yi na makarkata ina addu'o'i.
I don't even know the words to describe the agony we all went through and the trauma we went through. You imagine girls' schools. Most of these girls are even underage. We just try to imagine the situation that these girls went through.
Here in Nigeria's northwest, schools are becoming soft targets, and for the girl child, education is becoming a perilous gamble. This single attack in Kebbi echoes a terrifying pattern. It triggered a drastic federal response, the immediate shutdown of select federal unity colleges, a nationwide lockdown on learning, born from local terror. But the question from MAGA hangs in the air. In Kebbi State for News Central, I am Jamil Mabai.
And Jamil Mabai now joins us live to share more on what he uncovered during the investigation. Jamil, thank you very much for that powerful report. Let's talk about your experience on the ground. It must have been quite an experience going back and speaking to the people. We saw the son there of the security officer, and we could hear the pain. But give us a first-hand account of you revisiting the vicinity.
Of, like you said, pain and talking to victims of family members of the state security officer. But his voice, at the point we had to stop the interview because we had to shed tears. And at the point he told us that no longer because he has this clean from his father, and also the third word, wife also said to her, I don't know, maybe she has to admit the trauma now is going to be much on her, given the fact that we're looking at the mother, the husband, her husband in front of her. So it's something very traumatizing for both them and us. And again, but just that is one part of the story. The other part of the story now is who gave the order, what happened that led to the army withdrawal from the school. And the governor has been written that even the latest stint of the newly appointed Minister of Defense, Christopher Musa also said that at the Senate is going to investigate. But, issues like this have been happening. And if I can recall, Mr. Pearl did an investigation on a similar issue like this in Katsina, 7 months ago in Pending, where military were alleged to be, found, wanting or doing one or two things that put the security of the people there, at risk. So, but nothing has happened. So issues like this, we believe that we have to keep pushing this narrative, apart from the narrative of the victims. We have to also bring the light towards what happened after we gave the order. What happened prior to army withdrawal? Why did the army withdraw? Why is it that after their withdrawal, 30 minutes later, bandits attacked the school? Why, when the bandits came in, why did they have to go straight to the chief security's house to ask him whether he was blind and told him that they were there to kill him? Why? So these are the unanswered questions the people of MAGA are still asking, and the Nigerians, they want to know why, what happened. Why did the military decided to leave the school? And the governor, we also heard from the governor, in recent weeks. He said he had to make sure that the army were stationed there. And for him to have that guarantee, he asked them to even take a picture and send to him with the student, which they did. So there was credible intelligence that bandits were coming. And measures were taken. But those in charge were complicit and attacking. And now we are living with the devastation. So that is just a recap of everything. Mazino.
Still pondering on why did the soldiers leave and then the bandits came 30 minutes after is something everybody's asking, which, it doesn't make sense. And now, based on your, investigative finding, do you think that this attack appear coordinated with the absence, of course, of the security personnel that left few minutes before, the bandits attack? Or do you think it's a wider intelligence failure? And again, I would like to ask, how old was the chief security officer? Because clearly seen from the picture of his son, he would have really been aged. Can you tell us that?
With regards to his age, I can't recall, I don't have that. But, and again, with regards to whether it was coordinated or not, I can't really say for now, I can't really say for certain. But we can, from the pieces, you can see that with a clear picture of complacency. That is guaranteed with complacency, because you have this information firsthand that there are intelligent or that was the main purpose you were stationed at that particular school. And the issue is the military are not there 24/7. They were stationed for that particular night, maybe and another day. So to me, it's a matter of complacency. It's there, but maybe deeper investigation by the army or the relevant authorities might unravel whether it has some relation with maybe being coordinated attack or in any relationship between those particular group of or sets of armies stationed there with the bandits. That can only come from findings of maybe the army and the relevant security personnel. But for me, the journalists and other people, there are issues of complacency. That is established.
But Jamil, it seems that there is a deeper question to be asked here. Because if the military, if this wasn't something that was regular and they were posted there simply for the fact that there was intelligence ahead that there might be an attack, where did that information come from? Who received that information? And then why wasn't it followed through? Because there are two instances here that there's a failure, which is what caused has caused the greater instance we're looking at. But initially, that first information, that intel about an impending attack, where did it come from? Have you been able to find out?
The governor. You understand? From the governor himself. It came from the governor. And, the governor, got the intel. According to the governor, he got the intel from, I think, the DSA, from the, security personnel. And he took on that intel and acted upon that. That was why the governor and all paramilitary and security personnel had ample time to coordinate the defense and the protection of the school. So imagine a lot of energy and time has went into planning how to protect the school. And for even the governor to be certain, to have confidence that, okay, I have acted on my intent and I'm certain and secure that these soldiers have been stationed, because I have evidence of their pictures with the students in the school. Then around 1 to 2 the soldiers withdrew, and then this attack came.
So Jamil, the thing now is you just mentioned
and
that.
Time of the attack.
No, continue. Continue, Jamil. I thought you were done, and I wanted to just jump in and ask you a question, but you were not finished. So you continue. I'll wait for you to finish.
I think Jamil might be frozen.
Within Maga vicinity, even after they did not, because the school is stationed at the outskirts of Maga, while the other community, it's like a 10-minute drive from the school. So when the soldiers would be, they didn't left the Maga community completely. They were within Maga, for a little distance, 10 minutes, drive away from that school. Had it not been for the police officers that were stationed, who narrowly escaped the kidnapping, who narrowly escaped with their lives and managed to fire certain shots. The bandits would have taken their time and packed and abducted virtually all the students, or we might have seen a higher number. But the police officers told us that there was no way they could have stopped the kidnappers because their firepower compared to that of the bandits. And when they were explaining how the strategy deployed by these bandits, they moved in silence. The security gate and the house of the chief security officer, it's very clear, but the police officer that was stationed here was not aware that bandits were already in the school, have passed this side, entered the chief of security residence. Yeah, he's not aware of that. So to show you how meticulous and prepared the bandits is,
exactly.
We have lots of information on where to go, who to neutralize first, what to do next, and how to find the exit. So this is, I hope,
Jamil, Queen, I don't know. Queen, you asked the question initially, didn't you? You asked him, you said, did it seem coordinated?
Yes.
And now, Jamil, with the details you're giving, 2 security outfits were hoodwinked. It seemed like the bandits were prepared. Can we ask you that question again? Did it seem coordinated at this point? Do you think that there was some sort of coordination on the side of the bandits and perhaps maybe the informants who gave the directive, whoever gave the directive for the soldiers to leave?
Exactly.
Like I said earlier, I can, the pieces are too, I don't know how to draw the picture because, like I said, only security operatives can do that, but I can confirm there is what's called complacency, and the information is there. I can't say there is coordination or there isn't. I see Nazi. I can't do that, but I know there is complacency, and I can guarantee that. But people might decide to say, okay, there is coordination or there isn't coordination. The information we've given out, that's why we were there to give out this information, and it's left for state enforcement to act on what New Central findings are and see maybe if they can also put their own pieces together. So that I can say there is complacency. Coordination, there seems to be, but or alleged coordination. Let me leave it that way.
Okay.
Right. Okay. So Jamil, now you mentioned that the information of bandits were coming to this particular school came from the governor. So he got the information right beforehand. Now the question would be, why didn't they ask the school to close for a time being? And why was there no follow-up as to, okay, something's about to happen to this school. If we know we can't keep security there for 24 hours till, we figure that they are safe, why didn't they ask the school to close down and move those children away from that? Have you heard anything from the government so far?
Yeah, from what we heard from the district head, what he told us was the government has 100% confidence with the measures it has taken. One. Secondly, the government doesn't want to close the school because the school is uncertain. And some of the children are not from that community, per se. Then 3, the level of measures taken and the assurances given to the government And from what he has seen on ground, and from the mobilization done, he has certainty that even if these bandits are going to come, the measures will repel, or the soldiers and the paramilitary and what have you will repel these attacks. So when you have so much confidence, even the chief security officer, the principal spoke to him at around 8 p.m. and he told her that he should just go and sleep. Everything is under control. They have taken all they have taken all their checklists, they have taken measures, all the blind spots, everything. So he was confident that even if these bandits are coming, nothing will happen. They will be there. But unfortunately, a certain part was complacent, and that complacency was exploited, and that was what the bandits used to leverage that gap, that vacuum that the army left. It created that vacuum, that space for them to come and create. That was what happened. So the government did all that it could. It's confidence that the measures it took, nothing would happen. And had it been the military were there, nothing would have happened. But they left. So there is nothing you can say or convince people that the absence of coordination between, between the A and B, it's not there. The complacency is there. Even I think the one head of the army, the chief of defense staff, I think he says the army are being responsible for that. Because the army are known for this thing. Once they are stationed and given an order, they don't withdraw from that order until someone, or the person that gave that order or from a higher rank up. So that is why people are asking, who gave those soldiers? Was it an order from who? Or they did it deliberately? So these two questions probably will only investigations by relevant security personnel can provide answers to them.
Okay, Jamil, I hope that there are investigations that are still ongoing inside of the security apparatus there in that community, or that are responsible for securing that community. But aside from that, let's talk about the impact. Now we hear that the schools are being closed down. Select schools in that region are being closed down. Noting that this is a region that's already battling with education, especially for the girl child. How is this impacting education generally in the community and in the state?
Manda community, that school is the oldest school we have in Nigeria, and also, it's one thing. After I interviewed, some of the students and even the ones that were released, one thing, Mazino, is this young girl, they are passionate, they want to learn. The one will tell you, I want to become a doctor, the other one, a teacher, the other one, that was this particular one, just want to be educated so that we can handle life challenges and create opportunity for herself. So these girls and their parents too are passionate about sending their children to school. Even the fathers, they said, once the school is open, they send their works back to the school. But the question is, when will the school open? And with the recent directive that all bodies are unity schools included by the presidency, even if that school will open, a lot of these girls cannot attend the school because they are coming from as far as local government and as far as Kebbi state. So, this is a region already, struggling with education, and in particular that of the girl child education. And Kebbi state, to a certain level, is one of the few states in the northwestern part of Nigeria that has high enrollment of girls in school. So with this kind of attack, it's going to be tough A lot of parents when enrolling their children, and even the students themselves, it's going to affect them in psychologically. A school are places that you go and have peace of mind while learning. But when attacks like this happen, even the students will not have that peace while learning. Even teachers will not have that peace while learning. Because if I tell you when we went back to Mazda, there was no teacher present in the school. The staff, accommodation unit in the school has been completely, they have all left that ad. So that's to show you, even the teachers are scared from to think of young teenagers, boys and kids. So it's already taken a toll on the education sector in the entire Northwest.
Right. So, Jamil, of course, I have to just commend you for your numerous, reporting, and you've covered numerous insurgency and bandit attack. I can only imagine how you're managing, having to see these things in real life. And can you describe what makes this communities particularly vulnerable, of course, based on your experiences? And, are there any similarities based on all the, coverage that you've done so far?
One of the common factor is, lack of government infrastructure. Is the first thing going to Kebbi now that I was able to find a common factor is sometimes lack of government infrastructure contributes to these attacks. For instance, Maga community is just like 1 kilometer away from Zulu, and Zulu has a military station there, like a military base. But that's 1 kilometer. But from Maga community to Zulu local government, where the military are stationed, it's almost 3 hours or 2.5 hours. A journey of less than 30 minutes, 25 minutes, it takes you almost 2.5 hours because the road network is completely poor. Then again, electricity. Lack of electricity also played a major role in the attack in that, because for a police officer to be sitting in front of him and for bandits to walk past him without him seeing that there is a problem. And the place has so much forest and this massive rocky hills behind. So, when it's night, it goes completely dark. You cannot see somebody passing in. So, lack of infrastructure has contributed immensely to this attack in Maga and in other areas. Because even in Katsina, when it happened in El-Rufai, one of the major reasons why the bandits find it much easier to attack these communities is because of the road network. From the El-Rufai to where the mental incidents happen, it's just a 20 minutes drive away. But because of the road network, it will take you 2 hours, 1.5 hours to get there. And there are places where even cars or vehicles are not parked. You have to use motorcycles. And you cannot use motorcycles when you know the enemy is already there. Because you have to be inside an armored vehicle or something. So infrastructure, to me now, after going to Kebbi, I think it's one of the issues and the reasons why we are having this thing. And 3, our lack of coordinated border. Because Kebbi, Kwara, and how the bandits were able to smuggle them out of Kebbi, even with after being encircled by the military, was they used the Yawuni Niger border. So this also reiterated that. So that was why I was happy when I heard the Minister of Defense say that we just have to find a way to build that fence. Because that fence is very much appreciated. And sometimes even if it can be looked down and see how we can do that, because also states, that have these porous borders, maybe Zamfara, and Kaduna or Zamfara, Kebbi, Katsina, if something can be done, I think that also will be a way to, but lack of staff is one of the key common factors. Wherever these guys fight, you will find these like the this never.
Well, Jamil, thank you so much. Thank you for the report. And of course, we still have unanswered questions as to who told the soldiers to leave and, what happened and where are the girls and how we're going to get them back. But we appreciate this report. Thank you for your bravery, your clarity, and of course, your commitment to telling these difficult stories. And of course, to the families in Kebbi and across the Northwest still searching for answers, our thoughts remain with you. And we'll continue to follow the story and demand accountability from those responsible for securing our schools and protecting our children. Thank you, Jamil. And of course, still ahead on this program, more stories shaping our nation today. Stay with us. We'll be back after the break. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the headlines. My name is Mazino Uphill. Now we begin breakfast headlines in Niger State, where 2 Nigerian Air Force Alpha Jet pilots have survived the crash during a test flight at the NAF base in Kainji.
All I do without you.
The Nigerian Air Force says the pilots safely ejected after their aircraft developed an in-flight emergency during a post-inspection functional check flight. According to the NAF spokesperson Air Commodore Ehime Ijodame, the emergency occurred shortly after takeoff, prompting swift action by the pilots. The Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Sunday Aneke, has ordered an immediate board of inquiry to determine the cause of the incident. And former Senate leader Ali Ndume has urged President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to withdraw the ambassadorial nomination list currently before the Senate, alleging that its composition violates the federal character principle prescribed by the 1999 Constitution. The Senate had on Thursday received the list of career and non-career ambassadorial nominees from President Tinubu, which was referred to the Senate Committee on Foreign Affairs for screening. But Ndume, who represents Borno South, said in a statement on Saturday that the distribution of nominees was lopsided and failed to reflect Nigeria's diversity and requires under Section 14.3 of the, as required under Section 14.3 of the Constitution, I beg your pardon. Now to politics. Former National Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, Kola Ologbonidiyan, has officially withdrawn his membership from the party. He submitted a formal resignation letter to the PDP chairman of Okekoko Ward in Kaba, Bunu local government, Kogi State, bringing an end to his active role in the party. He expressed gratitude to the party leadership for the opportunities afforded to him during his tenure, noting the experience he gained while serving both the party and the nation. After careful reflection on his involvement, he decided to exit the party for personal reasons, making a notable shift in the PDP's leadership landscape. And away from that, stakeholders are pushing renewed advocacy to secure broader representation for women in politics. This was made known during a press briefing in Abuja, where the Policy and Legal Advocacy Center, in collaboration with the House Committee on Women Affairs, with the support of the European Union, convened a roundtable to intimate the media on the final stage of their advocacy efforts. Our correspondent, Blessing Ahibe, here has the details.
We are here today to say the reason and the conclusion reached by the screening committee are both incorrect. And to establish this, because the reason given by the screening committee for disqualifying 7 of us, including distinguished Senator Iyola Omishore and Omoba Dotumbaba Yemi, is basically that the 7 of us did not meet the requirements of being sponsored by registered, fully registered and financial members of the party. And we said this is not correct. They have been here since morning expecting us, and we are here. So we are making our cases one after another. And it's our hope that the National Working Committee.
The Nigeria Red Cross Society has called for an end to digital violence and abuse. This was as the society embarked on a road walk in Abuja as part of its 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, calling for more protection for women and girls using the digital space.
It is about creating awareness to the communities about the sexual gender-based violence that normally happens in our communities. For us, it's a time to promote about the gender-based violence that happen in the communities. But fortunately for this year, the theme is about inclusion of girls and women in a digital world, so that they can be able to understand that they are also protected through the digital world, through communication on the internet, through pictures that are sent on internet. They can be abused in any way.
Online abuse is using the digital space to bully people, either by sending them messages, unwanted messages, and then probably in some cases unwanted pictures, or even going to online to tag people's message and then respond with negative comments. There are different forms of online abuses, which at the long run had a negative impact on people.
Hundreds of protesters gathered in Tunisia's capital, Tunis, Saturday evening, demanding the release of jailed activists and criticizing the government. The demonstrations under the banner "Opposition is not a crime" came in response to the recent arrest of 3 opposition figures accused of conspiring against the state. Tunisia, once hailed as a democracy after the Arab Spring, has faced sharp criticism since President Said's 2021 power grab. Rights groups say freedoms have sharply declined, with many critics prosecuted under anti-terrorism laws and a 2022 ban on spreading false news. Protesters carried portraits of detained activists as they voiced frustration. And that's all this headline. Do stay tuned because we've got more coming your way, especially inside of Breakfast Extra, where we have more conversations.
Welcome back, and this is Extra Special, where we uncover stories that shock, challenge, and ultimately inspire change. Artificial intelligence is accelerating faster than any technology in modern history, transforming how companies operate and redefining what work will look like in the next decade. From automated banking systems to AI-driven journalism, digital assistants in healthcare, and smart manufacturing lines, tasks once done by humans are increasingly being handled by machines. But this shift comes with a paradox. While AI is expected to replace millions of routine jobs, it is also projected to create entirely new roles, new industries, and new economic values globally. The World Economic Forum estimates that AI will displace about 85 million jobs, but create over 97 million new ones. Now the question is, where will Nigeria stand in this transition?
In a country where unemployment is high and digital literacy is uneven, AI could either widen inequality or unlock one of the biggest opportunities for workforce transformation in Africa. The stakes are massive for the government, for businesses, and for everyday workers. So to help us understand what Nigeria must prepare for and how individuals can adapt before the shift becomes overwhelming, we're joined by Adeoye Abodorin, author and also expert on the future workforce and digital transformation. Mr. Abodorin, you are welcome. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning.
On a Sunday morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here.
You're welcome.
Apologies, I couldn't be in the studio. Sorry about that.
It's all right. Okay. Well, let's start with the big picture. When people hear AI, they hear AI will replace jobs. They fear that this might be their fate. So from your research, what types of jobs are most at risk? And is it true?
Yes, AI will replace jobs, certainly. Any job that has repetitive tasks, anything that's procedural that you do again and again and again and again, and it's the same thing, certainly they're going to go. Just make a list of all the things you do at work. Once your job is too repetitive and it's too much in a cycle, AI would certainly replace those things. The other thing are jobs that are predictable or with predictable outcomes. Once your job has predictable outcomes, AI will replace you. I mean, just like the days of the typing pool, where we had a lot of people sitting and typing, and they were surely replaced. There's a time when personal secretaries were the in thing for every manager to have. Now everybody has their laptop, and so we don't need a central repository of a typing pool experts anymore like it used to be in those days. So what's my bigger point? AI will certainly replace a lot of jobs, but it will also increase value tremendously. That's the comfort. But yes, AI will replace jobs, especially the simple way to put it is just that are very repetitive. AI will replace them.
When you say it will increase value, how exactly do you mean?
Okay. The meaning of that is that what you used to do for several hours, you can do in a shorter time. What used to take you a long time to do, AI is going to bring it quickly onto your screen in record time. The other thing that it would increase value by is that the total number of things you can do at once and the possibilities for production and productivity has ballooned. I mean, think about any industry you think about. I mean, I can go all the way from engineering to project and program management to the core creative industry across the spectrum. You will see AI doing significant reduction. I mean, it used to take several hours to get a script done, for example, for advertisers. Now, in a matter of minutes or seconds, if you get the correct prompt words rightly, AI is going to bring out exactly what you need, and it's going to give you variants if you so choose. If you know the words to use to ask the question, which is prompt engineering, there's almost nothing impossible for you to do in time. Right. And again, AI has the 10 seconds, AI has something called machine learning and deep machine learning. Even if AI does not know how to do a task, by observing you do it, over a period, it can become far more proficient. That's the other beautiful thing about AI.
Right. You just mentioned some skills. So I wanted to ask, aside what you just mentioned, what skills would become irrelevant? And aside the one you mentioned, what other one will be high demand over the next 5 years?
Yes, thank you. I am very careful. I thought about it because I have a list of about 200 jobs that I think are going to go extinct in one form or the other. And I don't want to mention names because I don't want to send panic signals into the, into the space. Yes, if your job is repetitive, if your job is procedural, step 1, step 2, step 3, if you do a personal job evaluation and 80%, anything above 50% of your job, to 80%, to 90%, to 100%, once it's repetitive, a part of you will be replaced, or all of you will soon be replaced by machines who can do it better. Just do a personal job evaluation and analysis. Is it task by task by task, so that somebody can say you did it well or you didn't do it well, and it can be done repeatedly over a period of time? AI will take over those things, certainly. And organizations will look for more value. So here's the clincher. The key is for you to be now the AI specialist too in your job. In the future, what we're going to have is you plus AI. It's going to be you plus your AI tools. How many AI tools can you use so that you can give the employer or the businessman more value? That is what AI will do to us in the coming future. So let me go to jobs that will be more popular. All the AI spectrum of jobs going to become much more popular. Tech. Ahead of that are people that do prompt engineering, people that can help us, and business analysts or thinkers who can help us integrate systems into technology more. Let me also sound this note of warning. What we need to pay attention to are our processes and the interfaces, the link between man and machine, the place where man and machine connect together. All the job roles that will help man and machine to interface well together. That includes programmers, that includes cyber experts, that includes programming teams, that would include people that do deep learning, machine learning, algorithm builders. There are enterprise architects, systems architects, and there will be industry by industry, by the way. It's going to be industry by industry. So the key is to, whatever you're doing, is to become an expert that is able to lead AI in that particular zone, because AI is coming for that zone.
So I hear what you're saying now, and it seems like I have to be an expert in prompt engineering. But how exactly can I do that starting now? If I have identified my job as one that is at risk from the eminence of AI, what do I need to do to start learning how to prompt effectively?
It's the beauty of knowledge now is that it's democratized. We are in the age of knowledge, and the first thing I encourage you to do is to watch YouTube videos and then start interacting with AI. Just put into YouTube videos simple definition of prompt engineering. And please don't be scared by the big word prompt engineering. It's just the science, the process of being able to ask the question in a way that the machine can give you the answer you're looking for. It's not necessarily a big divide the X mathematical symbol thing. No. It's just how do we interact with the machine so that the machine is able to give us something that we are looking for. Remember what I said about man and machine communicating. So in your own industry, begin to use prompt engineering daily. Begin to look for the keywords. So what are the keywords in your own profession? What are the keywords? What are the professional jargons that you work with on a daily basis? Amidst your list of professional jargons, typically, there is always 80% of the total amount that you use. That's just 20 of the, let me break that down. If, let's say, your professional jargon is 10 that you use, only 2 to 3, maximum 4 of those professional words are the things you interact with 80% of the time. That is where to start prompt engineering from. Just put that into YouTube and then look for AI tools around those tasks and begin to get proficient at them. Number 2, begin to study, write down a list of your processes at work. Be a personal process engineer. Again, not a big fancy word. What do we do? How do we do it? How do we measure the results? How do we measure the deviation? Write those down for yourself. Now begin to look for tools and apps that do those things faster, cheaper, and easier, and lead the conversation of doing those tasks. Here's an interesting fact. You yourself will notice areas for improvement or places where there's no AI tool already. Write it and note it down. If you have a programming friend, a group of family, or some tech geeks, give that place to them. Start your own toolkit yourself. There is a lot of money to be made right on your current job, if and right in Nigeria, or any other way in Timbuktu, if you are able to see moment of automation or moment of improvement that nobody is doing yet. Gather that together and you can create an app and make it popular among professionals, and it will shock you how much you can also make. And if at all you don't make anything, you can later integrate into a bigger system in your area. Meaning somebody else will design something somewhere very soon. You can now give them this solution and you still have a lot of money to be made. But what not to do is not to pay attention. What not to do is to bury your head in the sand or approach it with fear. No. What to do is to make a list of your tasks and find out the tools are available. And every day apps are being developed. Every second apps are being developed. So just get the necessary app that you need, and that is what you need to do. And that's the beginning of the process.
Right. It seems like AI is a rude awakening, and the question now is Nigeria prepared, whether structurally, educationally, for this massive workforce transformation or transition? Because you just mentioned now, as Mazino asked, that how can we become a prompt engineer, and you mentioned go on YouTube, so that's more like a personal growth. So do you think Nigeria is ready for this?
Yes, we're ready. Your question is very interesting. Thanks for that question, my dear sister. So I said sister online, but that's why I refer to my friends as. Quick one. When telecommunications started in Nigeria, I was opportune to be in the room. And we thought that it was a big thing and that we needed so many skills that we didn't have. Yes, at the beginning, but after a while, 3, 4, 5, 6 years down the line, it evened out so that there was not a leapfrogging. Please don't be fooled. AI is already in town in Nigeria and being used at very heavy levels. Look, AI is already inside your email. Large language models are being used right in your emails. Already, you have chat boxes everywhere for customer service. Telegram has them. Gmail, Google, the Meta group has them. There is Meta AI. There is ChatGPT now. I'm sorry I'm mentioning the names and the brands. And there's Gemini. The big names are there. And there's DeepSeek, the Chinese guys. What's my bigger point? Yes, we can't wait anymore. Because people that produce with AI as their partners is going to be man and machine. By the way, on the global scale, it's about 4 things. Man, machine, animals, and the planet are producing together. That is the mystery of Industry 4.0. Man, machine, animals, and the planet are co-producing. Already they're in our environment. It's the same market that every company will produce into. So if you don't have AI as your partner, you will be laboring hard, meaning that your productivity will be lower compared to someone who is producing with AI. It is not a choice. We have to start the journey, and it must start. And at government levels, I agree with you. Our government still needs to invest in AI training and capacity building. Very important for our universities and our government, and because so that we can be on the forefront. Because this is the sad truth about your question: the person that owns the platform owns our sovereignty. Let me make that clear because it's a very important point. As long as our phones are Samsung and X brand, I'm sorry I'm mentioning names, but X brand, once we don't own the platform, every phone call you make through every other person's device, they can hear you. They have systems in place to own our national sovereignty. We are not yet a nation if we are not in charge of our electronics, for example. I'm seated in a German, Honda is a Japanese car, I think. They can stop this car on the road or force this car to drive all the way to a location. They can tell you remote into this car. So until we have indigenous technology, our national sovereignty is at stake. For example, Google knows more about Lagos streets than the Lagos Commissioner for Planning. Same for nationally. The Google Map is probably the most accurate national territorial mapping tool. That is a big deal. We need to have our own Google, our own Amazon. Just think about it. Facebook is our president. Facebook can start information now, and there can be red wall everywhere. Forgive my gory illustration. What's my bigger point? Yes, you're right. We need to invest billions of naira, and I don't want to mention foreign currency, but let's start from the billions of naira in getting ourselves ready because we should own our national sovereignty. That is a very pivotal point because whoever is using AI and all those tools, somebody's mining the data. If we don't have our own, we are their beck and call. Just imagine one day Google packs up. There are many people in Lagos who cannot get home. Those are serious problems. Somebody through a server can determine who is governing you. We may not be in charge of ourselves if we don't do it at corporate, national, state, and local government levels. I agree fully that we cannot run away from it.
Mr. Adeoye Abodunrin, we want to say thank you very much. This is a very eye-opening kind of session here that we've just had, breaking this down so clearly, by the way. AI is indeed coming, but with the right skills, like you've put it, the right policies for a country like Nigeria. Nigerians can turn disruption into opportunity. We also hope that the authorities are listening and that they are prepared to start to own their own infrastructure when it comes to tech and also AI. Thank you very much, Mr. Abodunrin, for joining us. And we are hoping to have
Thank you so
more
much.
of these conversations with experts such as yourself. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Now we're going to break. We've got 1 more hour, or well, we're just at the half point. We've got more coming your way inside of Breakfast Extra.
Welcome back, and this is Breakfast Extra still. Now, 2 weeks ago, terror struck the quiet community of Eruku in Kwara State. Armed bandits stormed a church during an evening service being streamed live, killing 3 worshippers and abducting 38 residents. While all the abducted residents have now been freed, the psychological scars and questions about security failures remain. How could such an attack happen? And what does he say about rising insecurity in Nigeria? And News Central's lead correspondent, Bernard Kebbi, went straight to Eruku, reporting from the scene, speaking with survivors, families, and community leaders to uncover the story, the untold story behind this tragedy. And here is Bernard Kebbi's report.
Many residents believe that if not for the live stream watched beyond Kwara and shared around the world, the attack in Eruku might have gone unreported for days, perhaps even weeks. What began as a Thanksgiving service quickly spiraled into a national emergency and international headline. Nestled in Ekiti local government area of Kwara State, Eruku is a quiet agricultural community, virtually unknown before the assault on Christ Apostolic Church, Oke-Ishegun branch, on Tuesday, 18th November 2025.
We are doing Thanksgiving service for those people that were kidnapped a month ago. So we started the program on Monday between 5:30 to 7 p.m. So the second day, as we started, we just see those people at the back there. They jump over our fence, and almost 10 of them on this side, and they begin to shoot us. So we have a vigilante who is the church security. So he quickly intercepted them from the back, but he couldn't overcome them because as they saw the man, they began to gun him down. So he was killed with 2 people, and 38 of the members were kidnapped. They were in the bush now. So the wife of my assistant pastor is there, and my first son, which is the evangelist and the interpreter, was there also.
My senior sister was one of the adopted members that they took away. Day before yesterday, they called my son, and I happened to be there. I collected the phone and I spoke with them. Then they said 100 million per person. So when they said 100 million per person, then not until yesterday that we negotiated. When we now negotiated, they now arrive at 20 million per person.
What you can see is still the bloodstains from the attack on that day, where 3 people were killed and 38 were abducted. The church is still stained in blood. Some footsteps of some of the people who ran away. Once the camera gets outside, to the left is where the vigilante, the security of the church, was eventually dropped and killed on that day while trying to protect the people in this church. Inside the church, bullet holes marked the walls, windows, and furniture, a chilling reminder of the night that changed this community forever. 3 days after the attack, fear was still present in every voice we spoke to. From the church grounds, Pastor Abubakar led us deep into the surrounding bushes, retracing the path the attackers used to invade and escape.
This is where they pass. We were told that this is inside this house. It is inside this house they change their uniform.
He also showed us the exact spot where a worshipper was shot dead meters into the bushes.
When they saw that he's shouting, so they now say that this one is disturbing them. They now shot him. And this is where they killed the man. He's a grown man, he should be around 35 or so.
As we made our way back towards the community, the sound of gunfire echoed from a distance. At the second shot, everyone instinctively ran through the bushes and back towards safety. We later learned that the shots were from military patrol.
Isn't that soldier? How do they know? They see the soldiers?
I see them.
So we just had some sporadic shooting of some heavy, heavy guns, some kind of heavy gunfire from Methodist side, and it just set the community into panic. We had to run, but now we hear that it was the military operatives who are around who were told about the activities in the community, and those were like warning shots that they took. You can see around it has set some people into panic mode.
Because of the tear gas. Only our soldiers.
With night approaching, residents insisted it was unsafe to attempt the journey back to town. Our crew would have to remain in Eruku for the night. Seeking deeper understanding, News Central visited the traditional ruler of Eruku, who expressed the emotional and economical weight of the attack on his people.
We've been having some pocket of adoption, kidnapping, but this time around, going to the church and attack them, and they adopted so many people, killed so many people. This is unbelievable. The first thing I think they should do for us, they have been signed that they have started, that is provide security personnel protection. Secondly, we will be very happy if they can bring back those our people. Sometimes they attack people on the road too, and it's because of the bad road. We should all come back. Don't run away. I'm surprised that people are running away. Why do you need to run away? Where the place where you are running to? Do you know what will happen to you there? I pray bad thing will not happen to them.
Though security forces had been deployed, many residents told us off camera that the community had begun arming itself with Dane guns, machetes, and anything they could find to protect their homes. By the next morning, it was 4 days since the abduction. With no word from the bandits, the people of Eruku could only pray. Back at the church, the pastor who led the service that night shared his account. His wife was among those still in captivity.
I just see 4 of them enter church. They are shooting guns, so I don't even know where I can even run. So I just like to protect my member first. So I locked the door when I saw them. So I see all my member. So I went the place where I hide. So they come to my place. So I had them to the altar. So I went again, go to another vestry. So all my member they are inside that vestry again. So when I see that the kidnapper, I wanted to take all of them. So when I get there and I lock the door for back.
Of the 3 victims killed during the attack, 2 had already been laid to rest. Pastors guided us to the simple graves of those whose lives ended that day.
So the first person, which is married, is she has 1 daughter. So it's one of those people that was kidnapped.
The daughter was also kidnapped?
Yes.
And then the father is the one who was killed?
Yes. He gunned him down here.
In the video clip that went viral, an old woman can be seen, weak, moving slowly, unable to run as gunshots rang out behind her. We visited her home.
Mo bá dìde ni mo máa ń sá lórí họ́tà. Mo bá ń sá mo ń gòkè mi ò lè gòkè. Mo ń gòkè mi ò lè gòkè apá mi. Ibi tí mo bá sá sábẹ́ tébù ló bá wá bá mi lábẹ́ tébù. Ó ní kí tá ṣe máa nà. Mi ò lè dìde kí màá ṣe ṣe. Ó ní kí ló wà bí mi ò mú kan tó wà ń bẹ̀. Ló bá tú wo bá láì lọ́nà nínú ẹ̀. Ó bá jùlẹ̀ kalẹ̀. Ó ní kàtàsíkàtẹ́fì mo dórí ibi tí mo kó àwọn báìbù mi sí àtìwé àti tọ́ọ̀sì mi gbé tọ́ọ̀sì ṣùgbọ́n kò gbé báìbù kò sì gbé omi igi tí mo fi ń rìn torí igi ni mo fi ń rìn kò fọwọ́ kan igi ṣùgbọ́n gbé tọ́ọ̀sì láì tí mi 3-5 ni mo ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ ra tọ́ọ̀sì yẹn ó sì gbé.
Residents explained how life has changed since the attack. Farming, trading, and even schooling all disrupted. We've been told that there are 6 schools in Eruku community, 4 primary schools and 2 secondary schools. But since the attack, all the schools have been shut down. That's for almost a week now. This is one of the primary schools here in Eruku community. And of course, following that attack and following the spate of attacks in different parts of the country, we hear that certain schools equally have been shut down. Again, this goes to show the effect of insecurity and insurgency on education in Nigeria. One of the major issues of Eruku community is the road leading in and out of the community. It's an enabler of insecurity, if you like to put it that way. There is no way a vehicle will go through this road without having to slow down or completely come to a halt. And then you can only imagine how bad it will be when it begins to rain in this community. It's almost completely unmotorable, and spots like these are spread across several kilometers along this particular road. It makes it difficult for drivers to go through the road smoothly, and even more difficult for them to get out of tight situations. And this is why the community members say there has been a couple of kidnappings along this particular road. Once drivers have to slow down to navigate and meander through these potholes, they become vulnerable to kidnappers and other assailants. By evening on Sunday, 23rd November, news broke that all 38 abducted persons had been safely recovered, a moment of relief that sparked celebration across the town. The circumstances surrounding their recovery remains unclear, but for Eruku, gratitude has taken priority over questions. The Eruku attack joins a long list of abductions across Nigeria, some resolved, others heartbreaking and unresolved. As military operations intensify, families continue to wait, pray, and hope for their loved ones. For the people of Eruku, the wounds may heal, but the memory of that night will linger. In Lagos for News Central, Bernard Akide.
And joining us now is Bernard Akide, our lead correspondent in News Central, who was on the ground in Eruku reporting this tragic incident. Bernard, thank you for being here. And, you know, of course, we want to hear firsthand. It was such an emotional video for me to watch. I still have tears in my eyes. And just tell us, what was the first thing you saw when you got to Eruku?
Thank you for having me. I also have kind of nostalgia watching that video myself, and goosebumps all over my the first thing we noticed when we got there, as a matter of fact, while getting there was, and that's what you saw towards the end of that report, the state of the road, which honestly put all of us in fear. It's a long stretch of road. From Ilorin, the state capital, to Eruku, shouldn't be more than 2.5 hours. But it took us 4 hours to get there. You know, lined by bushes on the left and on the right. You would get quite scared, especially when it gets lonely. You know, sometimes there's almost no vehicles in sight for several kilometers ahead and behind. And then we got to spots where the road was pretty bad, really bad. So you come to a complete halt to navigate your way through. At some point, our vehicle broke down. At 2 points, actually, our vehicle broke down and we got into panic, you know, because we were literally sitting ducks, as they say in English. But besides that, on getting into the village, we could sense fear in the atmosphere. It was quiet. We drove in and people were looking at us, knowing that we're strangers, wondering who we were, what we have come for. Of course, because of the incident that took place about 2 or 3 days just before we got there. So to answer your question, fear was the first sense, the first feeling that we could sense when we got in.
Right. So if fear was the first thing you sensed, I'm believing that is exactly how the survivors and the families were feeling. But I'm sure it's not everything you were able to put in the camera. What were the feelings? How were the families coping right after, this happened? What did they say to you?
They were in a state of confusion and panic, to be honest. If you notice, the first people we interviewed, the pastor and then the elder in the church, at some point I had to ask them to please speak louder, but that was the maximum volume they could get out of their voices. The pastor himself said his first son was kidnapped at that time. So there are times when he was speaking, we could hardly hear him, of course, because of the trauma he was going through. There were people around who, they just see us knowing that we were journalists, because I was putting on the New Central shirt, the branded shirt. So knowing we were journalists, people would just at random run to us and begin to cry. They just begin to cry. In Yoruba, they were saying, just asking, please have mercy on us. Please help us. Please help us. Our family members are in the bushes. We don't know what has become of them. It was a state of confusion and fear. And we got into the church. It was an active crime scene, so everything was left the way it was, as though the attack just happened freshly. So we could still see bullet holes, we could see shattered windows, we could see doors that have been knocked down, and of course we could see the blood stains all across the church. They left it like that, locked the church, until we came and asked to see the scene itself. So it was not like you clearly stated, not everything could be unpacked into this video. As a matter of fact, it took us quite a while to chop the video down to what you just saw, because it was so long and so many people were coming to us for help, saying we should please get their story out there so that their family members could be brought back safely and alive.
Now, Bernard, you got there about 3 days after this incident happened, and you were privy to see the blood on the floor, the gunshot marks on the the windows and on the chairs. What security lapses or failure did you notice? Because this is supposed to be a crime scene, meaning it's supposed to be covered away from public eye, but you had access, and this happened 3 days after. So what did you notice about the security there?
Well, we were granted access because we had called earlier to say we're journalists, we're trying to do an elaborate story on the place. When we got there, it was under lock and key. They only opened it for us to get in. That's the church building itself. Okay. But the surroundings, you could tell. The village is surrounded by bushes. There are farms, there are farmlands. The people there, majority of them are farmlands spread around the surroundings of the villages. So it's covered by bushes, which means it'll be difficult to actually monitor what's going on, inside of those bushes, particularly from a distance. And I think that's the first, sign of insecurity that we could see. Besides, of course, the state of the road, which means still tied to the bushes as well, which means that if you have bandits in any of those bushes, they could easily be hiding in there and then lay ambush on vehicles or travelers. They come because the roads are really, really bad. So I think those two put together were the basic issues concerning security. When we spoke to the traditional head, the Kebbi, the first thing he asked for was security. He said he was pleading to the government to provide more security for the people of that particular village, knowing that it's a border town, bordering, I think, Kogi State, if I'm not mistaken, and you have vehicles traveling through that town, heading into Ilori and other parts of the country. So they basically were asking for better security, tighter security in that particular place. And I'll wrap this question by saying that they also did mention that it's not the first time that they've experienced kidnappings, particularly along the road, again, because of the state of the road. But for the case that they saw going into the church, abducted 38 and killing 3, it was a different level.
Right. You just kind of opened my next question, because, of course, we've mentioned this road, and looking at the video, it's going to be really unbearable having to pass through that road. And, of course, the Oba mentioned that, they've had pockets of kidnapping here and there, but this was just, beyond unbelievable and happening in a religious setting. What can you tell us about this particular attack and how it was executed? Do you think it was a coordinated abduction?
Well, I do think so. When we spoke to the pastor the second day after we arrived, he explained that while the service was ongoing, they started hearing the gunshots. So it's not like the bandits were shooting from afar so that the people could make a way, could run away before they get there. They had gotten close to the church already, and the church is at the edge. It's at the edge of the bushes, the church premises. So they had gotten close to the church already before they started shooting. He mentioned that one of the people who unfortunately lost his life was trying to escape, jump over the church fence, and then he was gunned down by one of the assailants who apparently was on a tree. So they had positioned themselves in certain places. There were some, or maybe at least one on a tree, targeting those who were coming out, and then others who went into the church to pack the belongings of the people and to lay ambush on them, while some others stationed themselves outside. But then when they got the number of people they wanted, they led them out of the church, crossed the fence into the bushes, and walked kilometers away. So it was something that it looked like something that had been planned, properly staged, and then executed. They took those who they wanted to take. Whether they wanted to kill people or not, we cannot exactly determine, because the first person, as we heard, that they killed was the church's security, the vigilante, the Olode, as they call him. He tried to engage them from behind, and then they turned on him and gunned him down. A lot of the blood you saw there was his. He was dragged out from inside the church and then eventually executed outside the church there at the spot we saw. The second person was the one who ran away, jumped the fence, and then one of the bandits on the tree shot him and killed him, as we were told. And then the third one was part of the 39 people who were initially abducted. But according to them, they said he was making a lot of noise, while they were going, and then they just pulled him aside in the bushes and shot him there, leading to three dead and then 38 eventually abducted. So again, yes, it did look like it was something that was properly planned and then executed.
Now, back to what I asked earlier. I know I asked about security and how you had access to the church. And you mentioned that, they gave you access because you'd called prior, that you're a journalist and all. But what is their role in all this? Were they able to tell you how they are, trying to keep the community safe? And where were they when this happened? Were they off duty when this happened in the church?
Well, the security that I talked about was just the local security for the church. One person, as a matter of fact, they call them Olode, in Yoruba language. That's local security with their Dane guns. That's basically their job. He was on duty right there, and he did try, as they told me, to engage the assailants. Those seeing his audacity with just one gun, being one man, and took him out quite easily. But besides that, as at the time we got there, security operatives had moved into the community. We could see army patrol vans moving around and soldiers, equally moving around. There was an armored police truck that was also on surveillance and moving around the community. As a matter of fact, if you remember in the report, there was a part where I said we had to run from inside the bushes back to the community, where we heard some heavy gunfire. We weren't sure who was shooting, but later we were told that it was the soldiers who had equally gone into the bushes. We don't know why they shot, possibly warning shots, or maybe they saw something or heard something, maybe they engaged some people, we have no idea. But it was just a sign to show us that more security had come into the community, which again, the KBAC did plead for. And he had seen the signs, but he was hoping that they would stay longer and that there will be more presence of security operatives besides just their own local security, or Olode, like you call them. And also to quickly state here that as at the time we did get there, we began to see that more people in the community, particularly the men, had begun to take up arms, their own local Dane guns. They said that they would take it upon themselves to protect themselves as well. Whether or not they get security support from the government, that they will protect themselves. So we could see from time to time and from place to place, young men, old men carrying those kind of Dane guns that you saw at different positions. We spent the night in the community as well. Throughout the night, there were some people who didn't sleep. They were moving, patrolling, some in the bushes, some within the community with those Dane guns, just ensuring that they can provide as much security as they possibly can to their loved ones in the community.
Wow, Bernard, it was brave of you to go all the way to the report. And with that, I say thank you on behalf of your colleagues here. It was really brave for you to go. It was so heartbreaking watching that video. And I can only imagine how you felt having to feel the fear of the community and having to sleep there the next day just to let the world know what's happening. So Bernard, thank you for joining us on Breakfast Extra and giving us this report. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. And I would also like to say thank you to the camera operator as well, Thomas Tille. I didn't do it alone. Thomas and I were there. Thomas ran faster than I did. So I'd like to say thank you to Thomas.
Thomas, thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Now, this story reminds us of the harsh realities of insecurity in Nigeria and the importance of reporting from the front lines to hold systems accountable. Now, let's go on a short break. When we return, we have more news. Stay tuned.
The military in Benin Republic has confirmed that it has ousted President Patrice Talon from power. This information has it that the coup attempts, which began in the early hours of Sunday this morning, sources said, started with an attack on the residence of President Patrice Talon in the capital, Porto Novo. Soldiers led by Lieutenant Colonel Pascal Tigri then took over the national television station and declared that Talon had been removed from office. Now, this is a developing story, and we are giving credit to the daily correspondent for this information, but we'll continue to monitor and bring you more information regarding this story. And in more news, stakeholders are urging lawmakers in the National Assembly to expedite action on the Constitution Review Report, which contains over 40 amended proposals, including provisions aimed at enhancing women's inclusion in governance. Expressing concerns over the delay in considering the report, they say the pending amendments addresses issues that directly affect the daily realities of Nigerians. They insist that the National Assembly must demonstrate leadership and conclude the review process before the end of the year, warning that prolonged delays weaken public trust in the legislative process. Meanwhile, the Federal Ministry of Education says it has not issued any directive for schools across the country to shut down on November 24, 2025. In a statement on Saturday, the ministry described a report circulating on social media alleging a nationwide shutdown as false and misleading. Now, the information also noted that it did not originate from the federal government, the Federal Ministry of Education, any state ministry of education, or any recognized security agency. The disclaimer, signed by the ministry's spokesperson Folashade Boriowo, urged members of the public to rely strictly on verified information from official channels. And that's all the news we can bring this hour. Do stay tuned. And it's still Breakfast Extra. We've got 1 hour to go.
Welcome back. And now we talk child abduction in Nigeria, which often happens quietly within homes, within families, and sometimes without the public ever knowing. But in this case, a father's 6-year search for his children has led to a breakthrough. 5 children taken in 2019 by relatives of their late mother and hidden for years have now been traced to Anambra State. Their father, Mr. Chima Kalu, reached out to News Central's investigative desk after exhausting every option to find them.
What followed was a collaborative investigation between News Central and the Nigerian police, uncovering a troubled marriage, a deep family conflict, and ultimately leading to the discovery of the missing children. News Central's special investigative correspondent, Ononye Marshall, led the complex operation on the ground in Anambra, navigating the emotions, the risks, the sensitivity, and the details that shaped this rescue. Well, here's that report.
My concern is my sister-in-law, my wife's elder sister, that came to the house where we lived in Bogije, Lagos, and took my wife and children since on the 20th of August, 2018. And since then, I've not seen them till now. None of them, and they were 3 when they left because my wife was pregnant with twins. The first one is Hosanna, that's a female, and she's 10 years now. The second one is Hallelujah, he's 9 years now. And then the third one is Glory, female also, 8 years now. Then the twins we are giving birth to in January 2019. So I've been trying all my best to get them back to my house. since they were abducted.
Chimka Kalu inspires an investigation in search of his children, whom he says have been kept away from him by family members of his late wife for over 6 years. We got to work and firstly tried reaching out to the person whose phone number was provided by Mr. Kalu, supposedly to be a person whom he accuses of taking his children away from his house in Lagos to a location yet unknown to him. Unfortunately, calls to that number came back futile. Then we moved to the next phase, to deploy our GPS tracking technique in evaluating possible locations where this individual might possibly be situated. Luckily, that paid off. What we found was contrary to location Mr. Kalu had suspected. We found the suspect to be very present in the Idemili North local government area of Anambra State. A petition was quickly sent across to the Nigeria Inspector General of Police, who in turn directed the Anambra State Command to investigate the matter. We arrived Anambra on Sunday, 23rd of November 2025, armed with a copy of the IG's directive, and approached the Anambra State Command. Efforts and information were galvanized, and a team of investigators from the State Criminal Investigation Department were assigned to lead the investigation. After a number of discreet surveillance and intelligence gathering, on Wednesday, 26th of November 2025, the men of the Anambra State CID, in the company of New Central Investigative Team, located Hosanna Onyedikachi Kalo in a school in the Idemili North local government area of Anambra State. She was found in the same location with one of the sister-in-laws to Mr. Kalu, Ama, whose name is currently being withheld. With her cooperation, all 5 children were located and recovered to the Anambra State CID.
Where children are taken forcefully from a parent for 6 years. The wife was pregnant and delivered outside the confines of the home with the family who came to forcefully remove her from her matrimonial home. So the father of the child had not even seen the last born before with his eyes. This is a crime. And it has gotten to such a height in Nigeria where family members use children to settle scores. That is, they just abduct children. They just take them away. A man comes home and finds out that the children are gone, the wife is gone. A woman comes home, finds out that the man has taken the children and taken 4 states away to go and drop somewhere. It is a crime. It's called child abduction, especially in this case where the matter was already reported to the state command. And then you take the child away from the jurisdiction of the same state command that it was reported. 6 years. It is not a family matter, it is a legal matter. The mother is dead. So automatically, the custody of the child goes to the surviving parent, except you have reason to believe in cases of maybe child sexual abuse by the surviving parent, or there is, it has been a violent, toxic marriage, is domestically violent. Those are grounds with which you can now appeal to the court to take custody from a new responsible father or mother.
Following the milestone on the operation and the intricacies thereof, which indicates long-standing feud between the 2 families, the men and officers of the state CID have been charged with sole responsibility of overseeing the investigation to an absolute conclusion and ensure the safety of the children as well as their safe return to their legitimate parent as the law may deem fit. For News Central, Marshal Anthony Onoye.
And now joining us is our investigative reporter, Marshal Anthony Onoye, who led this investigation from Lagos to Anambra. Marshal, I say thank you very much. First of all, what a story. I can't believe that actually happens. And of course, to find out at the end about the demise of the wife. I don't know. It's a very, very interesting yet horrific story, let me put it so. But what else did you find out that might not have made it into the story here, that might not have made it into the report?
So we also found out that the mother, we kept saying his late wife, that the woman who was forcefully taken out of her matrimonial home had also died in the custody of these persons, her family, who were ones who came to take her out of her house, and the children. She died in their custody. There are unconfirmed reports as to how she died, but I think the family members whom we apprehended had, their own side of the story as to her sustaining injuries from a domestic issue between her and her husband, and that they alleged might have led to her death. But the thing is, she died a year after leaving the husband's house. So it now leaves a lot to be proven that, those injuries or that injury led to her death. And we also found out that she was, buried in a hurry, without the man's consent. He made attempt when he heard the wife had died to reach out to say he wanted to be part of the burial. He requested for a corpse and all of that, but he was denied that because they had their grievance as to the domestic violence that was ongoing at the time, which they had also reported to the police but didn't follow through. That was one of the things we found out. We also found out that for the time they reported at the state command in Lagos, the man turned up. He had his own report to the police. He was also reported at the domestic and sexual violence office, which he also turned up, but they refused to turn up until the time they blocked him out of access to his children and changed location, and that made it difficult for him to access them.
So I was listening to you intently, and I heard you say something about the abduction, the method or the anatomy of the abduction. Now, we know the kids were abducted. Was the wife also abducted? Was it did the wife go with them willingly?
It appeared that the wife went with them willingly because at the time the marriage was troubled. Okay. So that is why, for now, because she's also demised, she's also late, we cannot ascertain her state of being, her disposition at the time when she was being taken. And this is 7 years now, going on 7 right now, since her abduction or kidnapping or being taken out of the house, if we may put it that way. But as far as the children are concerned, the fact that they are not, like you heard Barry Solumide say there, they weren't taken by any of the parents, or even if they were taken by either of the parents, it could be termed an abduction case without the permission of the other one. So for the children, which is our major focus, that was the report he gave. He cried out to us to say he's looking for his children. He's been denied access for over 6 years. He doesn't know where they are. He doesn't even know where the people that are holding the children are. And, for us at New Central Investigative Desk, one of our core values is to not just to put out stories out there or to, make beautiful documentaries. One of our core values is to see that people get justice. So we follow these stories, and when people reach out to us, we follow it to a very, very, would I say, for lack of a better word, justifiable conclusion.
Right.
Yeah. So locate the children and get them back to their parents.
Wow. So your core value is very intriguing, and I love it. But this particular case, did you stumble upon it, or he found you? He
found us. He reached out to some lawyers who had also reached out to us to say, look, gave him our contact to say, reach out to New Central. They are doing, this kind of work at New Central, and they could be able to help. And so he called us directly and explained everything to us. And
I have questions regarding that now, but it has to do with state of the authorities now and why they were unable to themselves make this investigation happen. But let's leave that aside till the end. You must have other questions, Queen.
With that, I'd like to say a very big thank you to the Inspector General Police, who is always, who always answers us whenever we reach out to him. He's been on, we've brought him into several cases that we've done, and that's why we are getting, justice for most of the people who reach out to us. And I'd also like to say a very big thank you to the Commissioner of Police, Anambra State, and the men, the policemen who joined us in that operation, they were highly responsive. The moment we got there, they needed to see the facts with which we came, and they needed to evaluate the environment where we had tracked these persons to, and so they jumped right at it. Immediately we showed them what we had already done.
Right. So Marshall, for me now is, based on the video, you were diligent in your work in tracking these people. What were the challenges you faced, having to find children that their own father haven't seen for 6 years? I can imagine how it's like you forgetting something, and in 6 years, you're not sure where it will be. So how challenging was it for you? What did you face having to find these children in Anambra?
So aside from the fact that, when you do these trackings, technologically you would have data at your disposal, and those data could be analyzed, and then you find locations. Of course, that's just elementary, but the rough work, getting to the location, first of all, you go through the rigors of the police administration, get across to the IG, and then, get a police team or police formation assigned to the work, and then you now get to the nitty-gritty of it, get down to the location and explore the location. It's a terrain that is not, like the urban city. It's a terrain that we had to navigate rough roads and all of that. And then there's always the emotional part of it when you discover these children. We didn't show you the parts where they were all in tears, the custodians of these children. I would say relatively well-to-do or okay family. Need I say here, Mazino, and we met these children in very good condition.
Okay.
Yes, they were in the hands of their relatives who had decided to take care of these children, and there was no form of molestation, no form of abuse. They were in very good condition. You saw the school where we found them. The problem is, it is illegal to hold those children against the will of their parents.
That implicates them.
That implicates them. So that's the problem there. And that's why, again, I commend the Deputy Commissioner of Police in Anambra State there, Mantu, who had decided to look into the dispute, the family dispute between the two families, and not, come hard on either party. Because we also noticed that they felt aggrieved by the dispute between the husband and wife. And at that time, they might have thought that they were saving their daughter, who eventually died in their custody. That's another story entirely, because she, after being taken from the house, died in their custody. So that's a legal matter for the police to investigate and follow through. But for the children that were our primary focus, we found them in very good condition, in very good schools, So there's that emotional part when you find there's the uhuru, you feel excited.
Exactly.
Yeah, but the part where you now see these children, you get connected with them, and then they're in tears, that for us is a little bit challenging too. We're not Superman.
Yeah, exactly.
Mazino.
From the report now, we hear that this is something that happens often in Nigeria. How rampant is it?
Very, very, very rampant. You heard the barrister again, I say, you have cases where parents just choose to settle scores by taking either, maybe you have two children and then you love over the other. When your wife wants to deal with you, she just feels okay, she'd rather take one of them and go away, leaving the other one. We have series of, Chimka Kalu's case is just one of so many cases we have in our kitty working on right now. So yes, it's rampant.
That is very scary, isn't it? So now, with the family who seem implicated in all of this, what's their fate?
That's for the police to decide whether or not they will pursue a prosecutorial process or proceeding against them. But I do know that what we have is they have violated the law, and I expect some level of justice to, take place. For starters, I do know that the father would be reunited with his children. That is one primary justice that the primary justice we were seeking. And as far as, legal implications are concerned on the custodian of the children, I wouldn't know about that now because the investigation is still largely ongoing.
Okay. Now I have an interesting twist to put to this. What if these kids were not in Nigeria? And is it possible for one parent to actually do that without the consent of the other? If they're able to go around whatever system is in place to avert that from happening, what are the implications?
So we've had in New Central here cases where the children were taken abroad. We've had to reach out to Interpol. We had to work with Interpol to locate these children. We've had a case in Rwanda where the kids were taken to Rwanda. We've had another one in Benin Republic. We've had another one in South Africa. I mean, we have these cases where one parent decides to take the children out of the country. It's no different from what we would do if it was an internal, locally in Nigeria here. We would reach out to the authorities and find a way to remember the case in Ghana too, where these boys were trafficked out of Nigeria. We did reach out to Interpol and we did do the nitty-gritty of administrative work and then got to that country and assisted the police to, repatriate children back or get them back. Does this often mean that the culprit is deported in any? What kind of what happens? So there are laws that there are implications, or rather there are laws that will come to the fore or to be at that instance, like the case of Ghana. When the culprit was arrested, he was being tried in Ghana. So it is their own, because it's a crime for you in that country to perpetrate such in that country. So and also there's a place of diplomacy, what exists, the kind of diplomatic tie they have with Nigeria to consider whether the culprit will be directly repatriated to be tried in Nigeria, or firstly tried in that country where we found the children or the victims before being repatriated back to Nigeria to face the law.
Right. These conversations can just open different cans of worms, because as he was talking, you talked about how the family of the deceased had gone to the committee or the agency for domestic violence and reported, but never followed up. So if you keep having situations where people are not following up, and then if they come to report to you that something's happening and you as the agency don't follow up as well, now, everything is now falling on Marshall or other people who have, time to focus on these things. So it now comes to Nigeria as a whole as to what do we focus on. Yes, and it's recurring and it's challenging. But Marshall, what next after this? As you're solving problems.
Yeah, exactly. So what next?
We tell you to find Mazino somewhere, but what next after this?
Okay, I'm not going to find Mazino somewhere, but yeah. Okay, what next? So we have a lot of stories in our kitty. We have a lot of, I hate to call them stories, we have a lot of investigations in our kitty that we're looking into. I'll just share with you one that we're currently working on. A woman, we're talking about abduction here and parent dispute or domestic dispute. We had a husband and wife who were in a dispute, and then the wife took the children, went away, leaving the man, and later got married to another man. And these kids were 13 and 6, 12 and 6 at the time. And then this stepfather of theirs, new husband to the wife, to the woman, was sleeping with these children for 2 years.
Oh no! The children, not child.
That's child. They're both girls. That's defilement. Both girls.
Oh dear.
Sleeping with them. And then when the matter was, the woman was sort of, hiding it, because these children they were telling their mother, and eventually she would tell them, no, maybe you weed or you peed on yourself and all of that. So we're looking. That's a story we're exploring.
Well, I hate to say that we are excited about it. No, we are not, but we would want to see where this goes. Justice, exactly. Thank you very much, Marshall, for such great investigative work that you do here at News Central. And it's always a pleasure to see that there is an eventual justified end to most of these. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marshall.
Yes. We've got our final conversation here inside of Breakfast Extra. If you stay, you get to be a part of it. We'll be back. Time for Focus Africa inside of Breakfast Extra, and our final story today. Well, we are going to South Africa, where the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial has seen more drama in courts this past week. 3 men were removed from the courtroom allegedly and are now under police investigation for allegedly conspiracy to murder. Meanwhile, Judge Aratha slammed the criminal justice system, saying it has turned South Africa into a banana republic following heated arguments over witness statements.
And also, the judge has ordered police officers involved in the alleged assault of a defense witness to testify when proceedings resume on January 19, 2026. And joining us to unpack this development are Elton Hart, attorney at the University of Johannesburg Law Clinic, and Njabulo Nlawuli, risk analyst. I hope I got your name correct. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning. I think we only have Njabulo at the moment. Njabulo, thank you very much for joining us. We will have our other guests join us, hopefully during the course of the conversation. Njabulo, this case has gone on for so long.
Yes.
Now we have the 3 suspects that were removed from jail and also an implication on the justice system by the judge. What can you tell us generally about the Senzo Meyiwa case as it stands currently?
All right. Thank you. Good morning to the viewers at home. So at this point in time, we are currently having the defense who are presenting their case against the 5 accused persons in terms of who really was on the crime scene on the day in question, which is the 2014 October 26, when our soccer player Senzo Meyiwa was actually gunned down. So now what we've experienced in the course, the defense was actually started with accused number 1, who's Moses Sibia. And Moses Sibia had 2 witnesses that came to testify so far. The first witness was the father of the Constable Zungu, who is Absalom Zungu. We must remember that Absalom Zungu is the person that the state has made their star witness in terms of saying that he's the one that provided the breakthrough, the information that led to the arrest of accused number 1, number 2, then subsequently number 3, 4, and 5. Now, what happened in court last month is when Absalom Zungu arrived in court, he actually rebutted any information or any knowledge. He denied any knowledge of even submitting a statement to the lead investigator or even knowing what really transpired on the day in question. Now, then the second witness is also Sifiso Zungu, whom is known in court as Kwabeni. Now, this witness again is also saying that he has never met Constable Zungu anywhere in 2014. In fact, he says to court, the last time he met Constable Zungu was sometimes in 2017. But they only went to school up to that second grade in school. So now what has then happened with Kwabeni? Kwabeni was, when he was under cross-examination by the state now. The state now wanted to ask question relating to a statement that they think Kwabeni made. Now, Kwabeni has actually distanced himself from that statement, and that statement is only putting in the center the state prosecutor, which is Advocate Baloyi, and the lead investigators, which is Brigadier Kininda, as well as Mohola.
Wow, this particular situation, Njabulo, it's been going on, and of course, you know, one day there's a witness, the other day, the withdrawn statement is going back and forth. There's a lot of drama in the courtroom. But can you tell us what's the risk? What does this drama do to the security and the public trust in South Africa's legal system?
Yes, definitely. The case has been going on for over 10 years. Now, with this drama that is currently taking place, it is really making us South African to lose faith into our judicial system. That's one. Number two, it's also putting in a spotlight how capable the state can be. Because I must just say, it's not everybody in the state. It's just very, very bad and very unethical police officers that has embarked in this so-called unlawful act. Because it has appeared now that most witnesses that will come to submit in favor of the defense are being threatened. So the risk around it will be threatening witnesses who actually will be wanting to testify. It must be noted that these witnesses that are coming in, it appears as if they're not coming to testify about what they've seen on the crime scene, but they are just coming to court to tell their story that all the things that you heard the state saying about us or about our names, it's not true. We don't know anything about that. In fact, the state officials or the state police officers have assaulted us and forced us to actually to write this statement. And it must be noted that in South Africa, the issue of assault and this of the witnesses or whistleblowers, it comes at a very sensitive time where also in one of the commissions that is looking at our South African justice system, one of the whistleblowers was gunned down almost 2 days ago. So now from us, the risk is we remain very threatened, and the witnesses, it doesn't look like witnesses will actually want to come and testify, because every time when they're testifying, they have to state that they've been assaulted, or certain statements that have been made, they were never made by them. It was actually forced or they were coerced.
Njabulo, I wanted to bring to your attention the fact that the judge actually invoked Section 108, which recalls witnesses back to court. But we do have a package. When we come back, I want you to tell us the implication of this, whether it's something that happens often or if it's just this one case. But let's take a look at this package here by New Central, and I'll be back to have that answer from you.
This latest drama comes hot on the heels of explosive testimony from Sifiso Zungu, who denied making a statement attributed to him by the state. According to the state, Zungu had previously claimed he was hosting the accused at Foster's hostel on the day Meyiwa was killed. The defense is now challenging the state to prove the authenticity of the disputed statement. The incident adds yet another layer of turbulences to the already protracted case, which has seen courtroom chaos before.
Those that are involved are those that are involved in the case somehow. I won't mention who exactly, but we've got solid evidence and solid intelligence on what we are saying. But we'd like to assure the nation that we're not taking this lightly. We have security measures in place. There were previous threats before against especially the investigating team in this case, the lead investigator, but there were security measures that were put in place. But this one is more, it's of a bigger magnitude.
In 2022, police officers stormed into the court and arrested defense lawyer advocate Malesela Tefo mid-proceedings. Meanwhile, public frustration amounting, with many South Africans taking to social media to criticize repeated delays and an apparent lack of transparency that has plagued the Meyiwa case for years. In Johannesburg for News Central, Wongani Sizila.
Njabulo, there you can see that witnesses are being recalled. Lawyers are, well, stating that I never said that in court from before. And then the invocation of Section 108, and this is very confusing for us. And we want to know exactly who's responsible or who would be responsible for the re-examination when it comes to witnesses being recalled back to court. Is it going to be the state? Is it going to be the defense? Is it going to be the court itself? And I don't know if you feel if Section 108 was an overreach at this point.
All right. I must just state that I'm not really legally qualified to comment on law. But what I can tell you, the viewers, is that in terms of the process and the processing, in terms of what we expect that should happen. Now, the state, remember that Kwabeni, who's the second witness for the defense, and this witness, my introduction was, we explained that Kwabeni was initially a witness from the state, which the state was saying Kwabeni was the person that invited all the accused person into one space for a party or for a celebration. Now, when this witness comes to court, he says, I have never invited anybody for a gathering in 2014 on October 26. Now what then now we had is during evidence in chief, when Kwabeni, evidence was being led by Advocate Nasir, we then started hearing very scary information that Kwabeni, whom was a state witness, was actually arrested and assaulted by the state. Even went and says, I have actually consulted with the prosecutor almost 3 times to discuss I did not write that statement. So now, with what the judge, he wants from Brigadier Ginina in terms of how the statement now that was submitted as part of the court record when the case started, then this witness is distancing himself from it. It's very unusual that we see witnesses being recalled, especially when the state has already closed its case. So, but I believe because it's in a high court, I believe that it's within the framework of the court, and the High Court in South Africa do enjoy rights of making such decisions.
Well, Njabula, do you think that the proceedings so far have been fair?
No, definitely. From South African point of view, and what we know our law, our justice process is supposed to be, I can tell you now that, without contradicting myself, that the judge is actually very biased towards the state. So the proceedings are not fair for the accused persons.
Wow. And for me, I think I just wanted to ask, as a concerned citizen, and you've been following this case for so long, what should the public, be watching for, in the upcoming court sessions that's going to happen from January 2026? And, how should they hope for, do you know if they should hope that justice will be served?
Well, I must say, I've been following this case for 3 years. The reason for it was on the technical aspect of the case, because the case started being from a forensic side of finding this investigation was done using cell phone or forensic investigations. Now, from the public side of things is that we need to observe, we need to hold the state accountable. We need to, we cannot relax because we don't know. It's scary for me to say that we're not even sure whether the witnesses will still remain safe, because this case has the history, at least about 5 key witnesses have either been killed mysteriously. So even us, ourselves, sometimes we live in fear. We live in fear because if you have a dissenting view, if you talk against the state, the very accused, the investigating officers or the state machinery targets you personally. And you can even see that as public in South Africans, we are now relying on News Central TV because you've been like allowing the voice that our South African media does not allow. That's how deep the rot in this case is. For me, I even when I talk, you'll realize that I don't not use allegedly because I talk from the point of fact. I analyze information, and I've got a lot of information that has proven that the state so far, and the case is does not exist. It's unfair. The 5 accused persons are being framed for the crime that they did not do.
Wow. Jabula, well, thank you so much for, joining us and giving us insight, and, we'll continue to follow up and see how this goes. Mazino, do you have anything else to add?
No, Njabula, I just hope that you do keep safe out there with the information that you've given here. It paints a very scary picture of the instance surrounding this case and how long it has also taken. We do hope that it comes to a conclusion soon, and a justifiable one as well, where justice is served to all those who are implicated. Thank you very much, Njabula, for being our guest here, and we'll continue to come to you for more information or analyses of the issue. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, indeed, that would be the end of our show for the weekend. It's been a very interesting weekend since Saturday. That's yesterday at 8 a.m. when you chose to join us. And, of course, Queen, thank you very much also.
Well, thank you, Mazino, for helping me do the monologue this morning because of my emergency.
They would never have known. But thank you very much. It was well written and, it was easy to execute.
Yes, and of course, this is Breakfast Extra where everything is nice and smooth and we have different characters. I smile a lot. That's my way of coping with Nigeria. But guys, don't forget to watch Breakfast Central tomorrow with Joe Hansen, Benga, and Olive. And of course, watch 12 Report, 3 p.m. News, 6 edition, and just stay tuned to News Central. See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.